Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. In this video, I'll be talking about the new legendary feats. These legendary feats are coming with the level 30 cap increase later this year. These feats are very powerful feats. They're more powerful than a standard feat. You'll get to choose one of them at level 30. There's a link in the description below to a developer post if you want to see the written version of all of these threads. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this post. I'm just going to work my way down and talk about each of these feats. First of all, on the thread here Still Star, the developer, said that this is what he had to say about the legendary feats. He said at level 30 you will get a choice of one legendary feat. These feats are stronger than most of your standard feats and pull their power from different planes. To help round power levels in upper epic, a lot of these feats are meant to be a little more powerful for characters that have built for versatility. Most of them include parts useful to many kinds of players. So with that quote there from Still Star, we can see really the lore behind it. Each of these feats have a different plane in the name of them. It's just a little lore thing. I think that's pretty cool. And a lot of these feats, while they are geared toward specific classes and builds, there's also other things within each of these feats that are helpful to pretty much any class. So there's some mix here. I think the intention here is to make it so that these feats aren't brain dead choices. What I mean by that is that there's going to be an obvious choice for each of your characters. Hopefully there will be some competition between these feats and you'll have a tough time choosing which one you want. But let's go ahead and start with, at the top, I'm going to talk about each of these feats. The first one is Skyline of the Plane of Earth. This gives you +4 to the DCs of your conjuration spells and +2 to the DCs of your other spells, +20 PRR, +10 acid spell power, and +30 universal spell power. And in addition, this adds 2d20 acid damage to weapon and unarmed attacks. So there's a variety of classes that could benefit from this. Obviously, your conjuration wizards or sorcerers. If I don't know that's that popular a build right now, but I think if you are one of those classes, a conjuration focused caster, you'll definitely want to take this. The 20 PR is really nice. That's going to appeal to any class. And then we have acid spell power, which it's only +10, so it's not very important. And then a +30 universal, which that will be helpful for any class. And then the 2d20 acid damage is a little weird because this seems more like a caster feat. I don't see any melee-centric character taking this, but maybe if you have some kind of mix between a caster and a weapon wielder, you'll maybe look at this. I don't see too many builds other than conjuration wizards or sorcerers or whatever casters that'll be interested in this. Move on to the next one, Scion of the Plane of Air. This is similar to Scion of the Plane of Earth, except it's for evocation, and there's a few other differences in the bonuses. It gives +4 to the DCs of evocation spells, +2 to the DCs of other spells, +4% dodge, +4 to dodge cap, +10 electric spell power, +30 universal spell power, and it adds 2d20 electric damage to weapon and unarmed attacks. So any kind of evocation focused DC caster is going to be very attracted to this feat. The additional dodge is pretty nice. That could help a lot of casters who do wear robes. Other than that, though, I think this is more of an evocation caster feat. Next is Scion of the Plane of Fire, +25% spell critical damage with all spells, +10 PRR, +10 MRR, +10 fire spell power, +30 universal spell power, and it adds 2d20 fire damage to weapon and unarmed attacks. Wow, that spell critical is really nice if you have some kind of nuker in epics, and I know that's not as big of a thing right now because in epics mobs tend to have tons and tons of hit points, so sorcerers definitely don't scale as well in epics as they do in heroics. They're definitely a better class in heroics, but hopefully this feat will help counteract that. It's a lot of extra damage, +25% spell critical damage is really nice, so perhaps some kind of fire or some kind of nuking sorcerer or something would be attracted to this feat. Next is Scion of the Plane of Water. It's +20 maximum spell points, +20 MRR, +10 cold, and +30 universal spell power, and it adds 2d20 cold damage to all weapon and unarmed attacks. This one's okay, but +20 MRR is really nice, but I don't see a lot of people taking this because I don't know you can justify giving up one of these other feats just for the plus 200 maximum spell points. And granted, the MRR is nice, but there are other sources of MRR, so I don't see this one appealing to many classes, honestly. Let's move on to the next feat, Skyline of the Feywild. It's plus 10 Sonic spell power, plus 30 Universal spell power, plus 4 to the DCs of enchantment spells, plus 2 to the DCs of other spells. It adds 2d20 Sonic damage to your weapon and unarmed attacks, and you get plus 20 healing imp. This one, obviously, for your enchantment-focused DC casters, I do have an enchantment-focused wizard. If I get him up to level 30, I may take this. They are trying to help out DC casting. I know that's DC casting. The effectiveness of DC casting in epics is something a lot of people are complaining about, and some of these feats, along with perhaps some other changes coming with level 30, we might see more support for DC casting. So if you have an enchantment focused wizard or something, which there aren't very many of them, but you might want to consider this if you want to tune that's more of a support crowd control. Let's move on to Skyline of the Shadowfell. This is plus 4 to the DCs of necromancy spells, plus 2 to the DCs of other spells, plus 40 negative spell power, plus 20 negative healing amp. And your weapon and unarmed attacks heal you for 1d6 positive damage or 1d6 negative damage if you are undead. So obviously this one is geared towards Pale Masters. This looks like a great, honestly, no-brainer choice for Pale Masters. Plus 4 to your Necro DCs, and plus also additions to your self-healing. That's really nice. If you are the type of wizard or sorcerer who likes to just Finger of Death stuff or whale stuff, this might be the feat for you. Next is Skyline of the Ethereal Plane. Gives you permanent blur, and while sneaking, permanent displacement, plus 1 point of sneak attack damage for every 2 points of hide you have, plus 2 to all skills, permanent invisibility guard as per the item effect. Now this one's really interesting because we really would have to break down the math to see just how much extra damage you can get, because it's plus 1 point of sneak attack damage for every 2 points of hide you have. And this might be the thing to take for rogues. I don't know. I haven't run the maths. I'm sure someone else will run the math and compare this to another feat, which I'll get to in a minute, another legendary feat. But it looks like it might be really nice for rogues. I'm not a big fan of the permanent blur and permanent displacement. Permanent blur is everywhere. I don't think that's much of a perk. And as far as sneaking, I don't see sneaking as that practical. I don't see a lot of rogues doing it. Just simply because of the atmosphere we live in today. People generally run quests as fast as they can. They typically won't wait for a rogue to sneak around, but it might be nice for soloing. I don't know. I don't run a lot of rogues. The only rogue I have is a mechanic. But that damage, that sneak attack damage based on hide, looks like it really could be something, pending the math. Next is Scion of the Astral Plane, plus 4 to tactical feat DCs, plus 4% double strike and double shot, and additional plus 4 if you are centered, plus 4% dodge, plus 4 to reflex saves. This is for your tactics fighters. I'm not sure that the double strike and double shot is a huge boost. Now, of course it's wonderful to have, but I don't see it being a something that would appeal to you more than taking another feat, one that I'll get to here in a minute. But it for sure is something to look at if you want to build a tactics melee, maybe a Vanguard, something like that. Let's move on to Scion of the Mechanists, plus 20 repair and rust spell power, plus 20 universal spell power, plus 20 repair amplification, plus 10% fortification bypass on weapon and unarmed attacks. You also gain Master Reconstruction, which shares a cooldown with Communion of Scribing. So you've got a better Reconstruct. I'm not sure exactly what Master Reconstruction is. I'm not sure if that's a new spell or an existing spell. I tend not to run too many Warforged. But this is more of a defensive feat, if nothing else. It's geared towards anyone who runs obviously anyone who runs a construct will help your self-healing for sure and help your fortification bypass. So it could be something for 2-weapon fighting, but I'm not sure that there's enough appeal here for you to take something else. I know that Warforged already have a lot of self-healing through either the Reconstruct spell or through the Reconstruct SLA. And again, the Master Reconstruction you gain here shares a cooldown, so you won't be able to use this in conjunction with Community of Scribing. So its addition that this is providing to your self-healing is a bit limited, and I don't see Now, I don't run a whole lot of them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see too many constructs having big self-healing problems today. Let's move on to Skyline of... Well, let me also just say that I'm not sure that the self-healing that you would gain here, your additions to your self-healing, would be worth giving up some of the DPS that we'll get to later, and actually one of my favorite feats, what we'll get to in a minute. Let's move on, though, to Skyline of Celestia, which is plus 20 positive light and alignment spell power, plus 20 universal spell power, plus 30% critical damage with positive light and alignment spells, plus 150 maximum hit points, and plus 4 to will saves. This one is obviously geared towards clerics. Plus 20 positive light and alignment spell power is nice. Plus 20 universal is nice. The plus 30% critical damage with positive light and alignment spells is really, really nice. This is probably your must-take for any kind of divine offensive caster, favored souls, your divine disciple clerics. We're going to be really attracted to this. The plus 150 maximum hit points is also very, very nice. Let's move on to the next one, Skyline of Elysium. This one is really unique because it's focused on summons. This is what it gives this is the bonus it gives to your summons. Summon creatures gain plus 25 PRR and MRR, plus 20 melee power, universal spell power, and RP. I think that means ranged power. It also gives plus 100% fortification to your summons, and it gives a 5% chance for your summons to ignore incoming damage entirely. This does not affect any incoming positive, negative, or repair effects. Now, this one is really interesting because we haven't seen a ton of support for summons in the game recently, and I'm very curious as to what a dedicated summon build can do once we get to level 30. And I'm sure we'll have some of those builds who really invest in their summons, maybe some Pale Masters and such, who really invest in their summons. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if this will affect the Pale Master pets, but this will affect any of your summon spells. I'm really interested to see what people can do with this. Maybe if you stack this with Druid Past Lives, you gear appropriately. Maybe summons might not be useless. Up to this point in the game, summons have, for the most part, been useless. Now, they can be useful on a situational basis for distraction, but as far as DPS, they're really meh. But I'm interested to see what someone can do, and I'm hoping there will be some players in the community who run up some dedicated summons builds to really show what it's capable of. It's a really cool aspect of this game that I know a lot of people really like. They enjoy summons, and I'm excited to see that it's actually being supported. But let's move on to the next feat, which I think is the best feat here for any melee, and it's the one I'll probably take. It's called Skyline of Limbo, and this is the feat I was referencing earlier when I said that, when I was talking about other legendary feats, when I said that, hey, this feat's nice, but I don't know if you could justify giving up one of the later feats. And that later feat is this feat, Skyline of Limbo. It gives you a whopping plus 20 melee and range power, plus 24 spell power, and plus 20 universal spell power, plus 2 to the enhancement bonus of your weapon, and plus 4 to fortitude saves. Now, that plus 20 melee and range power is quite a bit, and it appeals to so many classes that I think this might be the go-to for many melee and ranged classes. I'm almost worried that it's a little too strong, because I would like to see some of these defensive feats like Skyline of the Plane of Water and the repair one. What was it called? Let me go through here. Skyline of Mechanists. I would like to see more incentives to take those over the DPS. I have a feeling that most people are just going to take the DPS if they're running a melee, and we'll just take Limbo. DPS tends to be the most important thing in this game when it comes to building your character. Pretty much every character is DPS first nowadays. So it's going to be tough to justify giving up plus 20 melee or plus 20 range power on your build. Okay, the next one is the last feat is called Skyline of Limbo, and this is a fun, quote unquote fun feat. I don't know how seriously good this is going to be. Some of these buffs are good, but it's random. And what I say by that is this feat gives you 8 buffs, but that are each 1 minute long, but it's randomly cycled. So you never know which one you're going to get. And some of these are amazing. Like the first one here, one of the first of the 8 random buffs is plus 40 melee and range power and plus 80 spell power, and that's a ton. The next one is plus 16% double strike and double shot, plus 20% spell critical damage, plus 30 PRR and MRR, plus 20% dodge, and plus 40 heal amp is the next one. And then the fifth one you have plus 20 DR law. The sixth one is your weapon unarmed strikes and spells deal 1d20 chaos damage. The next one is each time you would be damaged, you would have a plus 5% chance to completely ignore the damage. Does not affect any incoming positive, negative, or repair effects. And the last one is confetti explodes around your shoulders. Festive. So it's just a cosmetic thing. It's not actually going to affect your character per their stats. So I might have jumbled a few of those together. I apologize, but you can check out the page there to get the complete layout. But those are the 8 buffs, and a few of them are amazing. Obviously, a few of them are pretty useless, like the plus 20 DR law is going to be basically useless for anyone wearing a Shadow Dragon plate. The confetti is obviously useless. And some of them, like the 1d20 chaos damage, is really, really minute as far as the buff goes. But then some of these are amazing, like the plus 40 melee and range power, and the plus 16% double strike and double shot, and the plus 20% spell critical damage. The problem with this feat is that you obviously are not going to know what buff you have. Now you'll be able to see the buff on your health, your buff bar, I assume. But the problem with this feat is it's not predictable. It's not dependable. And in this game, when ability is not dependable, it tends to not be near as useful. So while some of these effects are nice, I think the unpredictability aspect of this feat is going to make it more of a fun feat than anything else. I don't think anyone who's serious about their character is going to want to take this because they would rather get something that they'll have all the time rather than not know when they'll have a buff and at what time. So guys, that's my take on these feats. Again, the link is posted below so you can check all these out yourself. Please post below and let me know what you think of these feats. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. As always, guys, thanks for listening. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Axel311. And until next time, you all have a good one.